was a collaboration of all of these wonderful people, and many also sitting out here as well. I am a former school teacher and school leader and a future systems leader, and I happened to take the class with Professor Reimers and most of the students in the IEP program, but some other programs as well. And I was thinking a lot about what I would share with you tonight, and what struck me was the idea that when I started this class, I knew a lot about curriculum writing, I knew a lot about teaching, I knew about the Sustainable Development Goals, but I hadn't ever really thought about who owned those goals. How do you actually make those goals come to life? And through this process of working with the other students in the class and thinking about this project, working on this book, I realized that these goals don't come to fruition if we as educators don't participate in that. People don't learn about the goals. Teachers don't teach the goals unless we somehow bring this into practice. So what was really powerful for me was this idea that we all own these. And as a systems leader, I'm really thinking about how do I take these back to teachers and students so that we can all do this work together, because it's about peace for me. And that's always been at my heart and why I'm a teacher, because of peace, and this is one way to get there. So whether it's through using the lessons in this book or through creating lessons similar to this, the idea that teachers touch these goals and then put them into practice is really a powerful thing that I hope will come out of this book. And it's been such an honor to work with all of these people in doing that piece.
Thank you.
Developed nations have an issue with, which I think I really appreciated that, because sometimes we think in a deficit mindset when we talk about development. And so we really sat down and thought about, well, what are the things that we in Cambridge are not doing well, that other people in environments like Cambridge are probably not doing well, that we want students to be able to be equipped to change. And so our lesson really focused on students really understanding globally how food waste plays out in parts of the world, but then also learning how their own community is affected by food waste, and then also on top of that, driving that issue home and taking action at the end of the lesson to make sure that their community no longer is wasting as much food as they were wasting 3 days ago.
This course, and fortunate to work with the students from the Extension School who are enrolled in this course. 9 years ago, I worked on a similar project with Professor Reimers and a small team to create a curriculum K-12 for American students, although we hoped that it would be used more widely, to develop global citizens. And we created a whole framework of what we think a global citizen is, and we used the Millennium Development Goals, the precursor to the Sustainable Development Goals, and the World Economic Forum's Global Risks Assessment Framework as kind of the linchpins of this curriculum. And that was a really, really enriching experience for me to think about, how do you take a kindergartner all the way through 12th grade and make them prepared to tackle not only today's global challenges, but tomorrow's. And it was such a fun experience to have kind of carte blanche to decide, how do we achieve this? We had a really wonderful but small team. There were 5 of us, and we all brought different strengths to the work. And now, 8 years later, it's been so wonderful to be involved in projects like these, where the team is so much larger and so much more diverse, but with similar goals.
past year, I had the honor and privilege to work as a teaching fellow for Professor Reimers in 2 of his courses. The one in the semester where we actually produced this book. And as I said before, I'm from Rwanda, and so being a global citizen for me is something that's very deep and deep-rooted because in Rwanda, most of you know, in '94 there was a genocide, and that genocide against the Tutsi was really because it had a lot to do with tribalism and one group feeling that they had to exterminate another group, and you can just imagine that level of education that people had at the time, not just on on an individual basis, but even the government to orchestrate something like this was really quite terrifying. And so fast forward to today, Rwanda has rebounded and is a country that's full of promise and has made significant gains. But we see a lot of terror and attacks on not just countries in Africa, but really globally. There's rising ideologies, nationalistic ideologies, and terrorist ideologies that many of us have been seeing, and that's been the root of a lot of migration and so on, a lot of the refugee crisis. So for me, global citizenship education is extremely, extremely important. For us to have been able to come together and create a book like this is very much needed, and I think it's a need today. And so I was asked to reflect on what we did last year. I was part of the team that authored 60 Lessons, which is one of the books that's on that table. And I think that when you think of for us who produced that book, one of the key takeaways are, one, it's a big reminder that as Harvard students, as educators, and whatever profession you're in, you can really make a significant change, but you can make a significant change even in the space of, let's say, 4 hours. Because last year we spent 4 hours working on curriculum, and it was very clear what kind of framework we would use, and we created activities and a curriculum essentially that became the book 60 Lessons. And the fact that it's being changed and translated into 7 different languages, that shows that there's been already so much change that's happening. So the first takeaway is really we can make a change, we can make a difference when we put our minds together, and that's the first thing. And the second one is for other people that produce this in whatever profession they're in, those who are continuing on as educators, those who are going to be researchers or advocates, it's really important that they have an example of what intentional curriculum looks like. They have an example of what an actual activity in the classroom that will address a problem like religious intolerance will look like. And so I think that's really significant. The second part is, what is this? What's the value, I guess, for teachers? And number one, I see that teachers, there's so many demands on teachers worldwide, and teachers kind of sit at the front line of all these growing trends in populism and so on. And so it's them that kind of have to change the minds of these of students to kind of address these problems. And so I think teachers can use this book as sort of one of their arsenal or a weapon to kind of fight against this. And above all, it's a resource. It's an example, as I said before. So those were my key takeaways. happy to talk more about this, but really, I want to also take this opportunity to just say thank you, Professor Rivers. This was an amazing year for me. I learned a lot.
Mel mentioned the project that she was on 9 years ago, a book that was designed specifically for a private school, done to be conducted over the course of an entire educational year. And so last year when we were thinking and reflecting about that book, which is accessible mostly to very, very high-end private schools, we wanted to create something that's accessible to a wider community worldwide. And so that's how 60 Lessons came about. The way producing this book looked was, if you can imagine right now, if I broke you up into teams of 5 people, I gave you a worksheet to fill out, and I would tell each of you to write lesson plans, 5 lesson plans for each grade. Then we would put it all together and create a book. So that's how 60 Lessons. It was incredibly structured. It was very collaborative, and it happened on a weekend, on a Saturday. Maybe as big as the audience. Our second iteration was a little bit different. It happened in a similar way, but students had a little bit more support. Besides providing them a very rich structure and example of books, we asked them to think in an iterative way. So we had them first write this as part of an assignment. We then had them get together at a hackathon where they would share with each other the things they could use. We then requested them to test their ideas with actual work, make edits yet again, and then yet again. And so this is how this book came about. So both of these were written on the processes in a way that we provided students both very specific structured examples, but also gave them the creative freedom to create their own. As I think about the third book, I think we ought to be mindful of one, as teaching team members, we should be thinking about the experience of these students. So now, with these two books, we have 40 students for each book, so about 80 students participated in this project. We never formally conducted an audit of their experience. What did they learn? What did they gain? Why did they find this important? So I think as we think about next year, for students, besides hearing about the fact that this book has traveled far and wide, I'm not sure they actually had the access to touch base with the teachers around the world who are using these resources and receive direct feedback from those teachers. So for next year's class, I would make that part of the design framework. I would encourage students to talk to practitioners who are using these books to receive direct feedback, and as they're conceptualizing new ideas, or maybe going back to refine these, they would adapt that feedback that they've gathered across the world. And finally, because we're all, I think, on the same page in terms of promoting sustainable development goals, one way to do that, especially these days, especially when we have programs like the TIE program, the Technology, Innovation, and Education program at Harvard, would be to create a digital home for all of these resources, which would be a one-stop shop to have all of these books, to have all of the translations, to have all of the worksheets that are collected here, that we can each disseminate to at least one teacher. So imagine if we did that in this room, how many teachers we would reach. And in closing, because this is a very collaborative effort, what I'd like you to do is to look at the cover of this book if you get a chance. The Sustainable Development Goals are written here. I would like to challenge you all to pick your favorite and think about in your day-to-day life how you advance this goal. So for me, because I'm in the School of Education, goal number 4 is very interesting, which is employment education. For me also, employment is very interesting. So I try to promote
in integrating whole child education into classrooms. The first is relevance for the student, meaning that education responds to students' needs and students' ecological development in a specific context. So by that, I mean that we don't look at a student just as a body sitting in a classroom. We think about a student as, you know, a daughter or a son, a brother or a sister, a member of a community, someone who has different relationships, and we work to support those different relationships so that everyone is coming together in support of students' academic and social and emotional development. And I think the second part of relevance is that a student's education, what they receive in terms of curriculum, that it be relevant essentially to their community, to their local community, and to the global community, and that their education situate them as a part of a local community and a global community that they feel connected to and valued in. I'm thinking about all of the different lessons and the resources in this book. There is so much relevance there, both of those facets of it present for students. Some examples are promoting empathy, some examples are promoting collaboration, some examples are promoting leadership, others are promoting supportive relationships, so not just leading, but letting others lead and really celebrating others when they do so. There's also a lot of critical thinking in this book. There's a lot of cognitive flexibility, having students think about problems in different ways, approach things from different angles. So you should all feel so proud, all of you who contributed to this book, because I think it will really do a great job of impacting students' lives here and around the world, and at all different levels, right? Like, there are resources here for teachers at elementary level, at middle school level, at the high school level, so you all are having an amazing reach far and wide, even before you step across the street and receive your diploma. And you put so much work into it, and you spoke to teachers and you did your research beforehand about how to make it most impactful. So, hats off to you all. Fantastic job. So proud of you and so proud to be a part of the work that you did. So thank you all.
We have created this book of learning to collaborate for the global common good as a bank of resources for school leaders, for teachers, for education practitioners all over the world to use these materials in the classrooms with their students to be able to raise a common global citizenship mentality and to create larger awareness on the importance of the Sustainable Development Goals and how to advance them in schools through education.